So I get a lot of questions from people asking about how they can build more muscle or how I built the physique that I have. And people ask such specific questions about macros, how much protein they should get, what is the best exercise to work a certain muscle, how many minutes of cardio I do. So while those small details can be important, I find that people are often focusing on the wrong things, which are actually getting in the way of their progress. So I'm gonna smash through this workout, head home, and then we'll talk about 3 reasons why you might not be making the progress you want. Alright, so welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm Derek from Simnett Nutrition, and I'm a holistic nutritionist, but also someone who loves to take care of their body and stay active. So I know I'm not the biggest guy in the gym or the biggest guy on YouTube or anything like that, and I don't even really consider myself a bodybuilder. But I do love to combine weights and calisthenics and just stay like nice and active in my life so that I can continue to do all the things that I love to do. So for someone that has done it all naturally and hasn't dedicated their entire life to this, I feel like I have built a decent physique. And I'm vegan too, but don't worry, this video is gonna apply to everyone. I do have a few vegan specific points in here, but I think this is information everyone can use. And trust me, if I can go from skinny runner guy to somewhat muscular vegan guy like I am now, anybody can do it. Alright, so let's get into these 3 points. So the first one that I see that many people make is their nutrition is just not on point. So there's so much to cover here, and it definitely deserves a video all on its own, but I'm going to cover some of the main mistakes that I see people make. Either too much focus on macros, and especially protein, or people just simply aren't eating enough total calories. So what often happens is people obsess about protein, they have this fear of carbs, and then that leads them to eating low quality, highly processed foods, or just too many high protein foods, and neglect the other nutrients that are important for building muscle. So sure, protein is definitely important, but I honestly think that its importance has been over-exaggerated. I've said this time and time again, if you eat enough calories from a variety of foods, include a few high protein sources throughout the day, you will get enough protein. Especially if you're in a caloric surplus, which you definitely want to be if you're trying to gain muscle. It's well recognized that we need between 0.5 and 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight for optimal muscle growth and recovery. Up to that point, there are definitely diminishing returns, and beyond that point, there really isn't much evidence to show that it'll benefit most of us. However, an important point that is often left out of this is that this is for our lean or ideal body weight. Since fat doesn't have the same metabolic requirements as muscle and organs, you just definitely don't need as much protein if you have a bunch of weight to lose. For instance, someone that's 350 pounds maybe has an ideal body weight of 200 pounds and has 150 pounds of fat on them. They don't have to be eating like 280 grams of protein. That is just way too much for that person. So for me, who's 150 pounds, that puts me right at around 75 to 120 grams of protein a day. And usually I hit right in the middle of that at somewhere between 90 and 100 grams. But I honestly don't track my calories very often. It's usually just for full day of eating videos if I'm showing what my macros are, what my total daily calories are. What a lot of people don't realize is that protein synthesis has a lot of variables. This is how well our body is able to utilize the protein that we're taking in. If things are all working efficiently, we don't have to be eating gobs of protein all day in order to make gains, and we're going to feel a lot better for it. Our microbiome plays a huge role in this. After all, it's the microbes that are in our gut that are responsible for turning a lot of the food that we eat into energy. They break down complex carbohydrates into more simple carbs that we can absorb. They also break down protein into different amino acids, just to name a few of their functions. Eating fiber-rich foods, which are plants, along with the regular consumption of probiotic-rich foods like kimchi and sauerkraut are great ways of building our microbiome up. However, you want to try and avoid the ultra-highly processed foods like lots of the fake meats out there and other processed crap that we find on the store shelves, along with avoiding pesticide-laden foods, meaning you want to try and eat organic as much as you can, will help to preserve a healthy microbiome. And then there are minerals. People don't realize, but many of these play an important role in protein synthesis. Like magnesium, for instance. This is so crucial. The more magnesium that you have in your diet, the more protein you're going to be able to utilize. So some good sources of that are whole grains, nuts and seeds, and dark leafy greens. So you want to make sure that you're eating lots of those, not just macros. And not only is magnesium crucial for protein synthesis, it's also super important for the formation of ATP. And if we remember back to biology class, ATP is the energy currency of the cell. Sufficient magnesium levels also help with lactate clearance, meaning that burn that you feel in your muscles. So that lactic acid that's building up will not build up as quickly if you have sufficient magnesium levels. And on top of that, it'll clear out quicker so that you'll be able to get back to your set faster, or you'll be able to just keep training whatever it is you're doing. Soil depletion combined with the processing of many of our foods has led to a decrease in magnesium intake. It's said that up to 50% of Americans don't reach the RDI of magnesium. And that is just one mineral. There's potassium too. Potassium is so crucial for protein synthesis as well. It's important for our muscle contraction, and it said that up to 98% of Americans don't reach the RDI of potassium. So rather than focus on protein all the time, maybe consider the other nutrients that are important for protein synthesis. You're gonna feel a lot better eating these healthier foods, your body's gonna work more efficiently, and you're still gonna make those gains. And then there's carbs. Oh gosh, there's so much carb fear out there, and carbs are not the enemy. And of course, I'm not talking about like deep fried French fries and donuts and pizza and cake and all that sort of stuff, which honestly, most of those calories are probably coming from fat anyways, but people seem to associate them with carbs. No, I'm talking about foods like potatoes, beans, lentils, squash, rice. All those foods are great for us. We should be eating them because they're gonna provide us with the energy that we need in order to smash through those workouts. So when I do track, some days I eat 300, 400 grams of carbs, sometimes even up to 500 grams of carbohydrates. And I do this year round, and I manage to stay lean year round. So it is not the whole food, plant-based carbs that are making us fat. It's the highly processed foods that we're overeating that are packing on the pounds. Just being real with you. Okay. So I mentioned at the beginning of this point that I often see people who are just not eating enough total calories. And this often applies to people who are eating a whole foods plant-based diet. And that's just simply because the whole foods are just not nearly as dense in calories as animal products are. So what you have to do is you have to figure out what your total daily energy expenditure is using a TDEE calculator, and then track with a program like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal or something like that for a few days to make sure that you're getting enough total calories. So you definitely want to be in a slight caloric surplus if you're trying to build muscle. Just 100, 200, maybe 300 calories if you're a really big person is all you need. I'm really not a fan of the whole bulk and cut mentality. However, whatever works for you works, but you definitely need to know how much you're taking in. So if you need to track every once in a while, that's fine. And after a little while, you should know how much you should be eating each day, just by kind of looking at your meals and by feel. So you don't have to track forever. That brings me to point number 2. Your workouts just are not effective. So what I see is people just lack intensity. And I'm not talking about frantically lifting everything in sight at the gym and doing P90X every day. No, I just mean that quite often people are happy to get to about 10 reps, with a nice easy weight, and then just chill, get on their phone for 4 or 5 minutes in between sets and start scrolling. I mean, we all know, we're all guilty of it. And obviously this is gonna depend on your fitness level and your experience and that sort of thing, but you have to power through your workouts. Make the most out of the time that you have at the gym. Think about doing supersets, maybe do a lighter isolation movement in between sets, hit some abs here or there if you can. Watch the clock if you need to. You shouldn't need more than a couple minutes in between your sets, unless of course your training specifically calls for that. A lot of the time when people are brand new to the gym, they don't really know what to do. They feel a little bit lost. They're kind of just spinning around. What do I hit when? How do I use that machine? So following a program or getting a trainer can definitely help. However, you want one that is tailored to your fitness level and your goals. And I know I'm long overdue for doing a video on my workout splits, so I think I'm definitely gonna do that soon. But that brings me to another point, and I think a lot of people feel that they can overcome the lack of intensity or consistency that is required to build muscle by just lifting heavier. But when doing this, not only does your risk of injury increase, but it's much harder to get that mind-muscle connection that is so important to develop nice and full-looking muscles. So I like one warm-up set, then 3 to 4 working sets of close to around 12 reps each. Slow down, focus on the stretch and the contraction, control the weight both on the way up and the way down, and by the 10th or 12th rep, you really want to be struggling. Your form should just start breaking down on those last few reps of the last few sets. So just remember, our bodies do not want to naturally hold on to more muscle than we need to. So we really have to tax our muscles. We have to eat more calories in order to tell our body to adapt and build more muscle. So just get into it, be consistent, be patient, and what I like to remember is that fitness and weightlifting and all this are the world's longest endurance sports. There really is no finish line. You gotta just keep on going. And that brings me to the third and final point, and this is mindset. If you want to look like an athlete, you have to become one. You need to get active. So don't think that you can reverse sitting at a desk for 8 or 9 hours a day and then a few more hours on the weekend, just chilling on the couch watching football game after football game with just a few 45-minute sessions at the gym throughout the week. No, it is just not gonna happen. If that's all you have time for, great. That is better than nothing, but you have to work activity into your life. Get comfortable going for jogs, going for walks, doing some yoga, get into riding your bike. If you can ride your bike to the store or to work, that's even better. So rather than slouching on the couch for hours and hours at a time, watching programs or whatever, get up and just move around, do some stretching, get into different positions, sit on the ground, do whatever you need to do so that you're just not like totally sedentary. It's all gonna add up and make such a big difference in the end. Try a standing desk if you're at work all day. A lot of places are doing that now, and it's so much better for us than sitting. One thing that I like to do is keep some exercise equipment in my living room where I do a lot of my work, like a lot of editing and answering emails and that sort of stuff. And when I find I've been sitting for too long, I'll just pull out some of the parallettes and I'll practice doing like some handstands, maybe some L-sits or some push-ups or whatever, just to break up the sedentariness of my day. I know we've all heard it, but sitting is actually so bad for us. I know it feels so good, but if you actually look into it, it is not great for us. It slows down our metabolism, it's not good for our blood sugar levels, it tightens us up, which will make it harder to do the movements that we need to do in order to get fit. So there are so many reasons to just keep moving as much as you can throughout the day. And I know a lot of people think, oh, if I do more exercise, it's gonna make me more tired. And that might happen initially, but our bodies are master adapters. And the more that we move, the more energy that we're going to have. Just trust me on this one, power through the first few weeks, and you will find out that you'll have boundless energy if you can just keep moving throughout the day. All right, so that's it for this video. So those are the 3 reasons, well, a lot more reasons, but 3 main reasons why you might not be making the gains or the progress that you want in the gym. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I tried to cram as much into this as I could. I tried to make it as entertaining as possible. So if you did enjoy the video, hit the like button. It helps me out a lot. Subscribe so you can see more. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If I've missed anything, put them down there as well. If you disagree, let me know, and I will see you soon with another video. These are harder.